Hello my scholars, welcome to my school YouTube channel. My name is Emmanuel. In today's video, we're tackling JAMB CBT past question in biology for the year 2024. Please don't go anywhere, stick around and we'll be right back. You're welcome back to my school YouTube channel. Like I said earlier on, today we'll be tackling questions from 26 to 50. Now let's get down to question number 26. The first organism evolved from which of the following habitats? Is it the terrestrial? Is it the arboreal? Is it aquatic? Is it the desert? Actually, all the classes of animals, okay, vertebrates, like we say, we have the amphibians, we have the reptiles, we have the mammals, we have the apes, okay, that's the birds, okay, they all emerged, okay, after the fishes. In fact, the first amphibians that lived on land eloped, or they emanated from the lobed fin fishes, okay, ancestors. And then what they do was that they were living on land. Whenever they wanted to reproduce, they will move into the water and then they will reproduce there, okay? So that makes them have a dual habitat. They can live on land, amphibians, and also live in water. But they emerged from the lobed fish ancestor, okay? So which means they emerged from the what? From the water, which is aquatic, okay? The question says the first organism evolved from which of the following habitat? Terrestrial, arboreal, aquatic, desert. So the correct answer is aquatic. Option C is the correct answer. Now, question number 27. Which of these pair of substances must be present for a seed to germinate in a laboratory setup? Take note of that, laboratory setup, okay? What we need, majorly there are two things, okay, that are needed for a seed to germinate in the laboratory, okay? Number one, we talk of heat. Number two, we talk of water. Those two things are important. Even though microorganism is also important, but it is not a required factor, okay, for any seed to germinate. Once there is heat, once there is water, what water does is to rehydrate, okay, the seed so that it can get the nutrients that it needs. And then, of course, oxygen is also important, but the oxygen can be supplied from the water, like we have the dissolved oxygen, okay, in water. So we talk about heat. Heat is needed to break the dormancy, okay, and cause germination of the seed. Okay, so those two factors are very important, heat and water, for any seed to germinate in the laboratory setup. Take note, laboratory. So option A says microbes and water. Okay, water is important, microbes is important too, but it's not a factor that is required, okay, for any seed in the laboratory. We talk of heat and water, of course, these are the two factors. So option A is eliminated. Option C says soil and manure. Yeah, for the laboratory, if you want to do it on the farmland, of course, you can need manure, you can need soil, but in the laboratory, once you have water and heat, that seed will do what? Will germinate. Option D says heat and microbe. Microbe, important but not the factor, heat is important. So because of that, the correct answer is option B, heat and water. Let's move on to question 28 now. A fruit formed from one flower with many carpels is referred to as what? We have option A says simple. A simple fruit is formed usually when the fruit is formed from one flower and one ovary. Okay, one flower, one ovary will give rise to forming a simple fruit. Of course, it's simple as the name implies. An example of that we can have apple is an example of that. Orange is an example of simple fruit. Option B says multiple. If we have multiple fruits, it means that we have the fruit formed from ovaries of a flower. Ovaries, different ovaries of a flower. We have so many ovaries that make up that flower, okay, of a flower. We usually give us a multiple fruit. For example, we have pineapple. You see the way it is formed. We have so many of those, ovaries of many flowers coming up and then to form one fruit. So that is a multiple fruit, okay, like the pineapple. Then the aggregate fruit is usually formed from one flower having many carpels, okay, many carpels of one flower. One flower having many carpels will give rise to aggregate fruit, okay. Of course, that fits into the definition or description that was given here. And a false fruit. A false fruit is usually formed when, instead of the fruit forming from the ovary, it is forming from part of the flower, okay. The fruit will be formed from part of the flower instead of coming from the what? Emanating from the what? From the ovary. So because of that, it becomes a false fruit. Example of that kind of fruit is the pear. Okay, we have the pear and so on. So for these options that we have now, based on this, a fruit formed from one flower with many carpels is referred to as aggregate fruit. Aggregate fruit. So the correct answer is option C. Now on to question number 29. Which of the following plants is found in the ground layer of a tropical rainforest in Nigeria? Tropical rainforest in Nigeria. In tropical rainforest, we have green leaves, okay? We have rain, because a lot of rain falling in that part. That's why we call it tropical rainforest, okay? And it is made up of grasslands, okay? You have grass, green grasses, you have canopies, okay, that are made from the trees, okay, in that place, because it's a moist environment. And then you have, the kind of plants that grow in that place. They grow, some can grow on the trees, some can grow, on the layer. But what it's saying is that which one among all of these ones? Of course, the obeche plant, you can find it, okay, around in the tropical rainforest area. You can find the liverwort, you can find mahogany, you can find the oil palm, okay, because the ground is moist enough for them to get all the nutrients that they need. The heavy rainfall is there, the temperature is moderate, but we are talking about what? Ground layer of a tropical. So for the ground layer of the tropical, these are big trees, okay, mahogany, these are big trees. But liverwort is a plant that belongs to the bryophyta, okay, the class bryophyta, the phylum bryophyta, together with mosses, okay. Mosses, liverworts are examples of bryophytes, okay. We call them bryophyta, okay, in the kingdom bryophyta. So they grow up. You see the way they grow up, they germinate. In fact, they have what we call rhizoid, okay. Rhizoid, we have the root hairs that are growing up. So they grow at the ground layer of the tropical. They don't go as big as the obeche tree, the mahogany, and the oil tree. So the correct answer here is option B, liverwort. Now let's move on to question number 30. We have a diagram here. Remember, you must identify what diagram it is first before you can answer the question. Okay, this is human, of course, as you can see it. We have this Roman figure 1, Roman figure 2, Roman figure 3. If you are familiar with diagram, you already know what the question is. But let's go on to the question. It says, use the diagram above to answer the question that follows. The endocrine gland that is located in the part labeled I is what? So the first thing is, what are endocrine glands? Okay, endocrine gland is a gland, okay, or is a group of cells, okay, or specialized organs, usually that produces and then they secrete hormones, okay. They produce and then they secrete hormones directly to the bloodstreams where they are needed, okay. We have them usually in different parts of the body. For instance, we have the pituitary gland, we have the adrenal gland, we have them here. We have the parotid gland, we have the pituitary gland, we have the adrenal gland, we have the pancreatic gland, okay. That's what we call the islets of Langerhans, okay. Those are the different parts of the different types of endocrine glands that we have. So let's look at the diagram. The one here we have, there's one here at the brain, of course. This is in the head of the human, okay. So the kind of endocrine gland that we have here is actually the pituitary gland, okay. That's what we call the master gland. It is the gland, okay, in the brain, okay, at the midbrain, that does what? That controls every other activities, okay, of the other hormones or other endocrine glands that we have. Then we have at the neck region, we have the thyroid gland at the neck region, and then directly underneath it we have the parathyroid gland, okay, directly under it. Then we have here on the kidneys, we have the adrenal gland at this point, we have the pancreatic gland at the stomach region. Then we have here, of course, this is not, we have maybe the testes, okay, the ovaries, and then the testes for male, then the ovaries for the female, okay, at that part of the body. So the question says the endocrine gland that is located in the part labeled I, which is here, of course, in the head region, is the pituitary gland. So option A says thyroid, adrenal, parathyroid. The correct answer is pituitary gland, which is option D. Question number 31. Which of the following processes takes place in the carbon cycle? Carbon cycle has to do with, a cycle where carbon, okay, oxide or carbon related compounds, okay, are being revolved, okay, recycled, okay. They keep moving from one form to the other and then being rotated in a cycle, just as the name implies. Option A says Evaporation has to do with evolution or giving off, okay, of water molecule or moisture or some kind or content of gases, okay, into the atmosphere eventually. But that will not take place in the carbon cycle, because it just has to do with what? The giving off, okay, of water or vaporization of water moisture into the atmosphere. We are talking about carbon cycle, okay. Nitrification has to do with conversion of ammonia, okay, in the atmosphere. The plant needs the nitrogenous substances, compounds, okay, nitrogen that is needed, but ammonia is present. So ammonia that is in the atmosphere is converted into nitrite first, and then into nitrates, okay, before it can be in the form of the nitrogen that is needed by the plant, okay. Nitrogen we are talking about, not carbon. So option A is eliminated. Option B is eliminated because it has to do with ammonia converting into nitrites and nitrates, okay. So carbon cycle does not have a place there. It does not have a place in carbon cycle. Option C says combustion. Yes, combustion has to do with the burning, okay, burning of compounds, maybe hydrocarbons, okay, in the atmosphere in excess supply of air to give up carbon dioxide, which is CO2, and water usually are the products of combustion reaction, okay. So which means that CO2 is formed, okay, which has carbon in it. So that has a place in carbon cycle because there's carbon from the CO2 that is one of the products of combustion reaction. Hydrocarbon react with oxygen, okay, which is air, to give off carbon dioxide or carbon dioxide and water. So carbon dioxide is part of this combustion, the product. So because of that, it has a place in the carbon cycle. Option D says transpiration. Of course, transpiration has to do with the loss of water loss, okay, from the root, that is moving from the root to the leaf by vapor, okay. It is vaporized, so that has to do with water too, not carbon. So option A, option B, option D are eliminated, so we are left with option C as the correct. So the correct answer here is option C. On to question 32 now. Which of the following plants shows hypogeal germination? Okay, of course, we have two types of germination. We have the hypogeal germination, and then we have the epigeal germination. The hypogeal germination, of course, from the name hypo, okay, actually emanated from below, okay, while epigeal has to do with what? Above. So hypogeal germination has to do with a type of germination where the seeds actually goes beyond or germinates below the soil, okay, below the soil. And then we have the monocots. The dicots actually belong to this. We have the monocots and some of the dicots that actually belong there. For instance, we have the maize, we have the wheat, okay. They are examples of monocots that are hypogeal because you see the way they grow. The cotyledons, okay, the seedlings actually go below the soil, okay. And then we have the epigeal. Epigeal germination usually takes place when the seeds, okay, germinates. The cotyledon germinates above the what? Above the soil, okay. So we say that is epigeal. So for that we have the castor oil, the beans, okay, all of them granules, okay, they fall in under that. So option A says, they say which of the following plants shows hypogeal germination? Option A says castor oil. We have granules, we have maize, we have orange. Orange is an example of the plant that goes, okay, above the soil. You have it going above the soil. We have the granite also is one, and then castor oil is another one. So the one that goes below the soil, usually that the seed goes below the soil, is the maize. So the correct answer is option C. Let's move on to question number 33. In vascular plants, xylem tissue is responsible for what? Remember that both xylem and the phloem are what we call the vascular bundle tissues, okay? They help in transporting nutrients and water, okay, from the roots to the leaves and other parts of the plant where they are needed. So they transport water, they transport nutrients, they transport mineral that are needed by the plant to grow, to carry out metabolic activities. They carry them, they transport them, okay, actually. So knowing that already, option A says transportation of water. Yes, xylem tissue is responsible for transportation of water. It takes it from the soil through the body, through the stem, to the leaf and other parts that is in the option. B says translocation of food. No, the xylem doesn't do that, okay. Transportation also, yes, of hormones. That's not the function of the xylem, okay. and then we have the storage of sugar. The sugar is not stored. The xylem tissue is not responsible for the storage of the tissue. So rather, the xylem tissue, okay, which is also the vascular bundle of vascular tissue, is responsible for transportation of nutrients, transportation of water, transportation of minerals that are needed by the plant. So because of that, the correct answer is option A, transportation of water. Question 34. The causative agent of tuberculosis is what? The causative, what is the major cause of tuberculosis? Of course, tuberculosis is a sickness or disease that is caused by what you call Mycobacterium tuberculosis, okay? Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So, of course, as the name implies, Mycobacterium, so which means it's actually for what? From bacteria, okay? Not virus, not protozoa, not fungi, okay? Usually, when someone can contact it easily, when you are close to someone that is infected, the person sneezes, the person coughs near you, okay, and then you inhale it, you breathe it in, okay, one can contact it so easy. That's why it's a bacterial infection, okay. When someone begins to cough out blood, okay, cough so much that it becomes uncontrolled, it's a bacteria that is responsible, and the name of the bacteria is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So because of that, option A is not correct. The correct answer is option B, bacteria. Do you know you can take practice questions with our simulated JAMB CBT past questions? All you need to do is to click on the link in the description below that takes you to the Myschool website. There you'll be able to download the Myschool mobile app for your Androids and the Myschool software for your laptops and computers. So please go ahead and start practicing. Now let's move on to question number 35. Which of these is a respiratory organ in mammals? Which of these is a respiratory organ in mammals? We have the skin. The skin actually is not for respiration, it's for excretion. It excretes sweat, okay, and other gases out of the body. So this is an excretory organ. We talk of the mouth. The mouth can be used, yes, for ingestion, for breathing, but not directly for breathing, okay. So we cannot respire directly with it. It's not the major one that is organ that is used for respiration. We talk about the heart. The heart is responsible for circulation. It's a circulatory organ because it helps to pump blood, oxygenated blood, to the parts where it is needed in the body, okay. So this is circulatory, and then we talk of this one is part of the alimentary canal, okay, like what we call the digestive system, okay, from the mouth to the esophagus and so on and so forth. So this is excretory, this is digestive, this is circulatory. Lungs is the only respiratory organ that we have here because we breathe in and then we breathe out. We breathe in oxygen from the atmosphere, and then we do what? We breathe out what? Carbon dioxide with what? The aid of the lungs. So the correct answer is option D. I hope you enjoying this content. If yes, please don't forget to click on the like button, hit the subscribe button, and finally tap on the notification bell to keep you informed once we upload our next video. Now on to question number 36. Which of the Nigeria states is Northern Guinea Savannah located? We have the Northern Guinea Savannah, we have the Southern. See, mostly when you look at the states that fall under, of course, the 6 geopolitical zones that we have in Nigeria, okay, your north, west, southwest, southeast, north central, and so on and so forth. We have the south also. So it can help you, guide you in knowing what happens. So the Northern Guinea Savannah, the Guinea Savannah usually is characterized by, we have short trees, okay, and then the tall grasses. We have grasses that are tall, and then we have the short trees. That's the characteristics of the Guinea Savannah. Where can we find that in Nigeria? Option A says Borno. Of course, Borno, that's Maiduguri, is okay. It does not have the Guinea Savannah, okay, that is tending towards the middle belt, the north, northern central part, okay, that's the Borno. So we don't have the Guinea Savannah in that place. Rather, we have, we have tall trees. We have, don't forget, the Guinea Savannah is characterized by, smaller trees or short trees, and then we have the tall grasses going there by. So option A is not correct. Option B, we have Kano. Of course, it's in the northern part, but that part we have tall trees, we have the big trees, okay, around that side. Yeah, we have grasses also, but we have majorly, we have the big trees around that the Kano point, the part of the northern part. Okay, we have Oyo. Of course, Oyo has to be within the southern part. Okay, so that's the southern Guinea Savannah. This is in southern Guinea Savannah. Then this is southern Guinea Savannah. Then we have Kwara State. Yes, Kwara State, of course, if you have been there or if you have read about Kwara State, you have a lot of smaller, trees around that place. Okay, and then we have the grasses. They are green, and then they are tall even as much as they can. So, but that is actually also in the northern Guinea Savannah. So this is, all these ones now are part of the southern Guinea Savannah, but we have the Kwara State alone that is on the northern Guinea Savannah because of the characteristics of the plants that we have therein. So the correct answer is option D, Kwara. Question 37. Darwin's theory of evolution is based on the principle of what? Of course, this is a bonus question for you not to waste much time on. Charles Darwin, of course, we know he was the one that came up with the theory of evolution, okay, of natural selection. It says that organisms actually, begin to evolve, okay, from time to time, over time, okay, based on natural selection was brought about by Charles Darwin. Okay, which is from option A says use and disuse of organ. Of course, that was brought up by JB, that's Jean Baptiste Lamarck. Okay, that's what we call the principle of Lamarckism. Okay, he came up with the use of disuse of organ as well as the acquired, okay, characteristics of organisms. Okay, so option A and option C were actually from Lamarck. Okay, JB Lamarck. And option D, mutation, the principle of mutation was brought up by De Vries. Okay, that's what we call Hugo De Vries. Okay, actually came up with the principle of mutation. Okay, so which means that option B, the natural selection, Darwin's theory of evolution is based on the principle of natural selection, that as organisms evolve over time, what happens? It is based on how they are selected into the following group. So with the natural selection, so the correct answer here is option B, natural selection. Now question number 38. Similar structures that are modified to work in different ways in different organisms. Similar structures that are modified, okay, to work in different ways in different organisms, okay, because they are similar, those structures are similar, and then they are modified to work in a particular organism. They are referred to as homologous structures. Okay, that is option A. Option B says analogous structures. It will be analogous structures if there are similar structures of different species, okay, and then they are serving the same function. Similar structure of different species. For instance, we talk about the birds, okay, they have wings. The bats, they have wings, okay, those are different organisms. And then the wings we have some insects that have wings also, okay, but they are serving the same function. They can fly from one place, move from one place to another with their wings, even though they are different organisms. Okay, that's analogous structures. We have the divergent structures. Divergent structures can be the different parts, okay, of an organism that are serving different functions. For instance, you can talk of the arm or the leg. Okay, let's say from the leg of human, okay, we have the femur, or let's use the hand. We have this part of the bone, you have this part, then you have this, what we call the metacarpals. Okay, when you look at the skeleton of humans, we have the metacarpals, we have the humerus, and then we have, the other part of the bone. Okay, that's for humans. They are all serving different functions. If you look at also, let's say the bat, for instance. Yes, the bats are also mammals. If you look at the wings of the bat, you see that they have also this part, then they have this part, then they have this other wings, so this other, part of the wings too. If you look at it very well, they have it. So there are organisms that have different organisms, okay? They have different parts of them performing different functions. That is the divergent, and then the convergent, just the opposite of this. So similar structures that are modified to work in different ways in different organisms are what we refer to as homologous structures. So the correct answer is option A. Question 39. One of the ways of controlling schistomiasis is by what? Schistosomiasis is a parasitic disease actually, okay, that is contacted or that is spread by river fluke. And river fluke usually they live in the water snails, okay. So in the snails, indirectly we can say that schistosomiasis is caused by river fluke that live in the snail, water snail. So how can we control this disease, this parasitic disease? So that means if we evacuate, if we destroy the snails, okay, I think river fluke will not have a place to do what? To dwell in, to cause this parasitic diseases. So option A says destroying water snails and water weeds, okay. Of course, that has to do with it. So you need to know what schistosomiasis is before you can know the right option to choose. Option B says clearing the bushes around the houses. Of course, that is not malaria. If you have mosquitoes, usually, okay, if it is caused by mosquito, you'll be talking about clearing the bushes around so that you don't have mosquitoes breathing there on the water that has been waterlogged. Option C says washing hands after using the toilet. No, it is not an infection, okay, that is caused from contaminated food, okay, like maybe washing of hands after toilet use or whatever. So it is not that. So schistosomiasis is not caused by that. Option D is properly washing fruits before eating them, okay. That also is not, because schistosomiasis has to do with a parasitic disease that has to do with that is contacted from river fluke, okay, that lives inside of the what? Water snail. So if you destroy the water snails, I think the river fluke will not have a place to dwell in to cause the schistosomiasis disease. So option A says destroying water snails and water weeds. If you destroy them, then this also would have been controlled. So the correct answer is option A. Question 40. The central nervous system comprises of what? The nervous system generally in organisms, in humans, generally the nervous system is divided into two. We have the central nervous system and then we have the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system is made up of two different systems. We talk about the spinal cord and then we talk about the brain, okay? Those are the aspects, the organs that actually controls, okay, the activities that take place in the body. We talk about the brain, okay. Of course, that is where we have the pituitary gland, like we said earlier on, that controls all the activities that take place in the body, that controls every other endocrine gland, the hormones that are needed in the blood streams, okay, that has to do with your thinking ability, your ability to memorize, your ability to perceive, okay, odor, smell, to talk, to speak, to hear. All of those things are controlled by the brain, okay. And then neurons, in the nerves, okay, nerves that are sent, messages are sent from the nerves, okay, to the part of the body are actually done by the spinal cord, okay. Your movement, your ability to bend, your ability to make, your ability to sense, okay, are carried out by this. So the central nervous system are made up of comprises of the brain as well as the spinal cord. Of course, when we talk of the brain, we're talking of the hind brain, the forebrain, the midbrain, and so on and so forth. So the brain and the spinal cord are what make up the central nervous system. We call it CNS for short. So the correct answer here, option A says brain and somatic. Option B, brain and spinal cord. Yes, spinal cord and somatic, and brain only. The correct answer is option B, brain and spinal cord. Now to question number 41. We have another diagram here, okay. Use the diagram above to answer the question that follows. So you must identify what organism this is. Of course, what this diagram is. This is the diagram of Euglena viridis, okay. You know that Euglena viridis usually belong to the class of organisms, okay, that have the plant-like features and then the animal-like features, okay, that qualifies them. Okay, that is what the Euglena is. If you look at it, these are the animal-like features. We have the flagella, okay, we have the pellicle, and so on and so forth. Those are animal-like. Then we have the plant-like features also that are present in this. Now, first of all, let's identify each of these labeled parts. Now, this part now, you can see like particles here, okay? Those are particles that we have at this point. That is the part labeled 1. Then this part labeled 2, of course, you have a round thing, and then this one. This is the contractile vacuole. Contractile vacuole is Roman figure 2. Roman figure 3, that's where we have the chloroplast. It is in the chloroplast we have the chlorophyll, okay, that the plant uses, or that green plant uses to carry out the photosynthesis process, okay. That is Roman figure 3, chloroplast here, and then we have Roman figure 4 there. That is where your nucleus is, okay. The nucleus is present there. So the question says the organelle that shows the organism as plant characteristics is called what? Of course, when we talk about plant characteristics, that means it can be able to carry out the photosynthesis, okay. If it can do that, manufacturing its own food by itself, making use of carbon dioxide or carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll to produce the sugar, the food, and then carbon dioxide is given off. So the other part is what? Roman figure 3, which is, remember, this is the particles that we have. This is the contractile vacuole. This is the chloroplast, where we have the chlorophyll to carry out photosynthesis, and then this is the nucleus. So the correct answer is Roman figure 3, option 1, 2. So that is Roman figure 3. So the correct answer is option C. Question number 42 now. Reproduction in Paramecium is by what? Remember, reproduction is one of the characteristics of living things, okay? Ability to give rise to the young ones, okay, offsprings, okay, usually that looks like them, okay, like the parents. So in Paramecium, don't forget, is unicellular organism, okay. So what kind of reproduction does it take place? That does take place in it. We have binary fission, we have budding, we have spore formation, we have fragmentation. When we talk about binary fission, that's the asexual binary fission. Only one parent is involved, okay. We don't have the male and female like it. So what just happens is that after some time, what happened? The large or the parent Paramecium, okay, will split, okay, into two. That's why we call it binary into two fission. When the larger one breaks into two, okay, just to form two daughter cells, okay, that looks just like that and have all the features that are present in that. So that is asexual. It does not need a male or female to reproduce. Just by itself, it's just split, and that's what we call asexual binary fission, okay. Binary fission or asexual binary fission, that is the kind of reproduction that takes place. Though there are some other types of reproduction that could, but the one that is prevalent, okay, dominant in reproduction in Paramecium is actually the binary fission or the asexual binary fission. Budding, has to do with not in Paramecium, because this does not have, it's not planting, like it's not going out like plants, like having buds, okay, around it. That will not take place because of it. Don't forget, the Paramecium has a basal kind of diagram, like the foot of the leg, okay, the foot of human leg, just like that it is, or like slippers, okay, that is one. That's the shape, the way it looks like the Paramecium, and then it has some features. It doesn't form spore, okay, so it cannot reproduce by spore, not by fragmentation, but it's by binary fission. So the correct answer is option A, binary fission. Now let's move on to question number 43. A community with a population of 2,310,000 people living in an area of 2,310 square meters has a population density of what? So we have to do some calculations. Let's move on to the board. We're told that in that community, it was made up of a population, that the total number of people that are living in that environment is actually 2 million. Okay, so we have first number, okay, we use number, okay, let's have total number, okay, total number, okay, total number of, that's the population, total number of people, okay, living there, living in the community, we use capital N to represent that, is equal to what? Okay, we're told the community with a population of 2,310,000, okay, 2,310,000, okay, that's what it is, okay, your calculation, okay, 2,310,000, that's the total number of people that are living in that community. We're told that they live in the area of the land where they live at is 2,310. 2,000, so we can have, that's total number, we have area of the land, okay, area where they live in, we're told it is 2,310. 2,310 square kilometers, okay, square kilometers, that's kilometers squared, okay. So we're told to find the population density, okay? Population density is equal to question mark. That's the unknown. So if there's a relationship between the three of them. So population density is actually given as population density can be found as, of course, I will not repeat the whole, let's just put n here over a. Of course, n, we said it represents the what? The total number of people living in that area, and then a, let's use a to represent the area of the land, which is a. So we just have the total number is 2,310,000, okay, divided by the area of the land. Of course, it could be in miles, it could be in meters squared, it could be in centimeters squared, but this was given in kilometers squared. So 2,310, okay. So we just find that, of course, this is 2310, so 2310 can go here 1, 2310 can go here 1, then we have 3 zeros here attached to it, 3 zeros, so that is 1,000, okay. So that is the population there. Let's move on to the screen. Option A says 10,000, option B says 10, option C says 100, and D says 1,000. That's what we got. So the correct answer here is option D. Now question number 44. A succession that occurs in an area where there are no pre-existing community is called what? When we talk about succession, there has been a disaster that happened in an environment. Let's say rain fell and then there was flooding. All the organisms that are in that area, of course, will be swept off. Some of them will find their way because of flooding. Okay, that's a disaster. We can have droughts, okay? We can have famine. We can have a lot of things happening. Natural disasters that can happen in a community, okay? And then all the organisms will go away to other places to find another habitat. Some, they are going to restart a new habitat because green plants begin there are no green plants there. They want to fend for themselves and provide food for themselves. We call that ecological succession, okay? And we have what we call the primary, we have the secondary, and we have the tertiary succession, okay? So this question says a succession that occurs in an area where there are no pre-existing community. No community has existed before. It's a virgin land. There's nothing that has happened there before, okay? That is what we call what type of, we have option A says tertiary succession, option B says primary succession, option C says post-primary, option C secondary. Of course, primary succession is the correct answer because that is the type of succession that occurs where there are no pre-existing community. No community has existed before. They are just starting that place afresh. It would have been secondary if there's a community that has existed there before and then new organisms are coming in there to take over. So then tertiary has to do with, for some time that community has been existing there and we have different organisms in that place and then it is taking over again, so it becomes tertiary. So the correct answer here is succession that occurs in an area where there are no pre-existing community is called primary succession. Option B is the correct answer. Do you have any question bothering you at all? Please feel free to ask. All you need to do is to click on the link in the description below that takes you to the Myschool website. There you'll be able to ask your questions and then solutions will be provided within the shortest period of time. Now let's move on to question number 45. Which of the following processes releases oxygen to the atmosphere? Which of the following processes releases oxygen to the atmosphere? Option A says respiration releases oxygen, okay? Of course, we are not told if it is plants or animals, okay? Release oxygen, we have respiration, we have combustion, we have decomposition, we have photosynthesis, okay? Release oxygen. This one usually we release carbon dioxide, okay? And oxygen is taken in by humans, okay? Here we have carbon dioxide usually is more because we have carbon dioxide being released, from plants, okay? Carbon dioxide is respired, it's got in the atmosphere, by that. Then for combustion also has to do with carbon dioxide, that's carbon dioxide, okay? When there is a complete combustion of hydrocarbon, of compounds that are burnt in air, okay, carbon dioxide and water is being formed, okay? So that one has to do with what? Combustion, not, of course, carbon dioxide, not with oxygen. Option C says decomposition. When we decompose, okay, there's breaking down by microorganism, okay, into smaller units, okay, it is given off, okay, but not oxygen. Option D says photosynthesis. Of course, don't forget that photosynthesis is a process by which green plants manufacture their food, making use of carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll to produce what? The food and oxygen. So oxygen is given off into the atmosphere during the process of what? Photosynthesis. So because of that, the correct answer is option D, photosynthesis. Do you have better steps or explanation on all the questions we have solved so far? Please feel free to share with us. All you need to do is to go to the comment section, indicate the question number you wish to share, and then the solution that you wish to share with us. Please feel free to share. Question number 46. The depressed side of Paramecium, which is lined with cilia, leads to a tube-like structure called what? The depressed side of Paramecium, which is lined with cilia, leads to a tube-like structure called what? I think we need a diagram to explain this so that you can see the different parts of the Paramecium, okay, that make up Paramecium and the different functions that we have. Let's move over now to the diagram. Okay, so we have Paramecium caudatum, okay, that's the scientific name of Paramecium, okay. You can see the shape like looking like the foot, okay, of humans. You can see that's the Paramecium. So we have this, what we call the air. You can see just like the air, okay, strands on the body. That's what we call the cilia. You can find that there, okay. And then we have the macronucleus, which is what is this, and other parts, and so on and so forth, as you can see here. But the part we are looking at, it says the depressed side. When something is depressed, it goes inside, okay, and then it is lined with the cilia. Of course, you can see this is the part that is depressed. It goes in, and then it is lined with the cilia. It says that the depressed side, of course, we have the oral groove here. The depressed side is the oral groove, but it said that leads to a tube-like structure. That's what the question says. Leads to a tube-like structure. So don't get confused and pick oral groove, because oral groove is part of the option. So you say, okay, this is the depressed side. You say that leads to the what? The tube-like structure called what? This is the tube-like structure now. Okay, you can see it now. The oral groove leads to the tube-like structure that is called the gullet. Okay, so this tube-like structure is what they want us to find, not the depressed side. Okay, the depressed side that leads to a tube-like structure is that is called what? Gullet. Okay, so gullet is the tube-like structure that we have there. This is the depressed side, that is the oral groove. So let's move on now to the option. The depressed side of Paramecium, okay, which is lined with cilia, is the oral groove. Okay, that is option B. Okay, leads to a tube-like structure called, so the name of the tube-like structure now that the oral groove leads to is what we want to find, which is the gullet. Okay, you can see it here. Either we call it the gullet or we call it the buccal cavity. Okay, like the mouth, humans, we call it buccal cavity. That's the cavity there, buccal. Okay, either buccal cavity or we have the gullet. Okay, so option C. Okay, not the food vacuole, not the oral groove, not the anal pore. The correct answer is gullet. Option C is the correct answer. Question 47. The rhizoid of liverwort is what? Is it unicellular and unbranched, multicellular and unbranched, unicellular and branched, multicellular and unbranched? Okay, the rhizoid of liverwort. Liverwort, actually, like we said in one of the questions we solved before, that we have the liverwort and the moss, okay, that actually make up the bryophyte phylum. Okay, so they are bryophytes. They don't have a true vascular tissue, vascular bundle. Okay, so they have roots. Those roots are what we call the root hairs, are what we call the rhizoid. Let's look at the diagram of liverwort to see if they are unicellular organisms. So we know that is confirmed. So option B and option D are knocked off because they are not multicellular. Okay, they are unicellular. So the answer is between option A and option C now. So unicellular and unbranched, unicellular and what? Branched. Let's look at the diagram of liverwort so we can know if the rhizoid is actually unbranched or it is branched. So you can see the liverworts here. You can see them here. Okay, these are the rhizoid. You can see the root hairs that we have under there, whether it is for the female, whether for the male or for the female. You can see them just directly down that way. You can see there. You can see these are the root hairs. That's the rhizoid. Of course, these are not branched. Okay, they are just down like that. Okay, so they are not branched, but they are unicellular, yes, and they are what? They are unbranched. If it is branched, you have them having this way. Maybe you have another one this way. You have them cutting this way, and that it is just straight down like that. So they are unbranched and they are unicellular organisms. So let's move on to the options now and see what we have there. So from what we just saw now in the diagram, the rhizode of liverwort is unicellular and unbranched. So the correct answer is option A. Question 48. In glycolysis, glucose is broken down through a series of reactions in the presence of enzyme and absence of oxygen to produce what? Glycolysis is the first stage of respiration. Okay, of course, we have the aerobic respiration, we have the anaerobic respiration. Okay, so in glycolysis, what happens is that glucose, which is the 6 carbon atom or sugar, is broken down into 3 carbon sugar, which is pyruvic acid. And once that happens, energy is produced. But the energy that is produced usually in respiration is always in the form of ATP, what we call adenosine triphosphate. Okay, so that is the form, the currency. Okay, just like the naira that is spent in Nigeria, the dollar that is spent in US, and so on and so forth. So the currency of energy that is spent in that is what we call the ATP. So 2 molecules of that ATP is produced in the glycolysis section, and then this other part of the respiration, that's the Krebs cycle, okay, has to do with the about 36 of that ATP will be produced, but our emphasis is on glycolysis. So in glycolysis, pyruvic acid, okay, is produced because the sugar is what is splitted. The 6 carbon sugar is what is broken down into the 3 carbon sugar, which is the pyruvic acid, and then energy, which is ATP, is also produced. So let's look at the option. Option A says acetyl coenzyme plus ATP. Yes, ATP is produced, but this is not one of the products because 6 carbon is broken down to 3 carbon, which is pyruvic acid. We have phosphorylated glucose. No. Option C says pyruvic acid, yes, plus ATP. This is the 3 carbon sugar that is formed, and then we have ATP, that is the energy, amino acid, no. So the correct answer is option C, pyruvic acid plus ATP. Question 49. The gaseous exchange takes place through the plasma membrane in what? Now, organisms that respire or that can excrete, okay, gaseous exchange, okay, through the plasma membrane is because they are unicellular organisms, okay. In multicellular organisms, we have different functions, different cells, different tissues that carry out different functions, different organs that can carry out that. But in unicellular organisms, plasma membrane is what some of them use, okay, because they don't have organs that can carry out different differentiated organs, okay, that can carry out metabolic activity. So option A says that Hydra, of course, Hydra is a multicellular organism, okay, so this will not work. Hydra will not use plasma membrane for gaseous exchange because it's a multicellular organism. Option B, of course, Paramecium is a unicellular organism. So unicellular organism, Paramecium, the amoeba, okay, those are unicellular organisms that uses plasma membrane for their gaseous exchange. So option B is correct. Option C, flatworms, earthworms, these are multicellular organisms. So they cannot use plasma membrane for gaseous exchange. So because of that, option B, which is Paramecium, is the correct answer. Question 50. One of the characteristics of secondary succession is that it does what? We have explained the succession before, primary, secondary, and tertiary, okay? So one of the characteristics of secondary succession is that it, option A, starts on a bare surface. It would have started on a bare surface where no community has existed before. So if it had done that, it would have been primary succession. But we are talking about secondary. So option A is not correct. Option B says it takes longer time to reach climax. Take longer time to reach climax. Option C says starts on already colonized surface, and this says starts with low organisms. Well, it should have started with low organisms if it were primary. It should have taken longer time to reach the climax if it were tertiary. Okay, before you get to the climax, it takes a longer time before you get to the climax. That is tertiary. But option C says starts on already colonized surface. So a place that primary succession has taken place where we have organisms that are just starting on the bare ground already. That is where the secondary succession actually starts. So based on that, the correct answer is option C, starts on already colonized surface. I believe you enjoyed this content because I enjoyed myself solving those questions. Please, if yes, don't forget to click on the like button, hit the subscribe button, and finally tap on the notification bell to keep you informed once we upload our next video.